Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Progress. I received a message from a viewer, the viewer called One Fold, One Shepherd. He or she says, could you tell me if and how black could achieve this smothered mate on white right out of the gate aside from the Budapest gambit? Thanks. And it's a comment on video number 11 where I show a smothered mate. That smothered mate was done on black, and One Fold, One Shepherd is asking if it can also be done on white. My answer was yes, sure, there's a very famous smothered mate trap for black. In fact, I will make a video on it and will post it later today. So here we go. This smothered mate is called the Blackburne Shilling gambit, and it is one of the more famous chess traps. Legend says that the famous English master Joseph Henry Blackburne, who lived from 1841 till 1924, played this trap against amateurs in games for money, and that's why it's called the Blackburne Shilling gambit. The main variation of this trap leads to a very nice smothered mate position. Let me show you. White plays e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and then the somewhat unusual knight d4. Not a big problem for white. White can just take on d4, and after e takes d4 plays d3, or he can castle, or after knight d4 he can castle straight away. Those are all good options for white. But if white is greedy and is an amateur, and amateurs are often greedy, they see a pawn and they cannot resist taking it, then white takes on e5. It's hard to resist, it's a pawn, and also white sees that there's more to be gained on f7. Both bishop and knight are looking at that square f7. Black then plays queen g5, and if now white takes on f7 with the knight, that's a big mistake. We'll look at that in a minute. He can also take with the bishop. Bishop takes f7 check. Then there is king e7, white castles, queen takes knight, bishop takes g8, rook takes g8, and white has two pawns for the piece. For example, c3, knight back to c6, d4, queen back to f6, and white has some compensation for the piece. But if instead of bishop takes f7 check, white decides to take on f7 with the knight, that's a bad mistake. It looks good because you win the rook in the corner, but black plays queen takes g2, counter-attacking white rook on h1. If white decides to take the rook, then he loses to queen takes h1 check, bishop f1 only legal move, queen takes e4 check, and the bishop has to interpose, and then the very nice move bishop c5, and it leads to checkmate. No matter what white does, let's try knight c3. After knight c3 there is knight f3 check, king f1 only move, queen h4 with a checkmate threat on f2, and if you play king g2 there is queen takes f2 check anyway. If the king then goes to h3, there is d6 or d5 checkmate. And if the king goes to h1, then there is queen takes h2 checkmate. That was after knight c3. We can try something else. We can try d3. It doesn't help. We get the same checkmate. And if we try king f1, there is even mate in one. Queen h1 is checkmate. So all this after queen takes g2, and then white decides to take the rook, then he gets checkmated. But we were promised a smothered mate, and that happens if white decides to save the rook. It does make sense, because he can save his rook, while black cannot save his rook on h8. So if white plays rook f1, then there is queen takes e4 check, and bishop e2 is the only move, and then knight f3 is the smothered checkmate. The Blackburne Shilling gambit. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess2 Progress channel, and I'm looking forward to your comments. You also may want to check out my Chess2 Impress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick from Chess2 Progress. Thank you very much for watching.